decades. And your boy, Ronald Koeman, who we had spoken about in a previous episode, you weren't a big fan of his football.
Not so much.
He has been sacked, so you must be rejoicing.
Absolutely. I mean, I don't think he was ever qualified for the job, aside from being a former Barcelona player. But usually when you hire these former players on the hope that they know the club and somehow that will contribute to success, you're going with a young rookie manager who hasn't had that many gigs and hasn't had a chance to sully his reputation. Whereas in the case of Koeman, there were plenty of opportunities and demonstrations of his ability, and it just wasn't that of a Barcelona coach. So I think it's a miracle that he lasted this long after the board elections and the leadership changed at Camp Nou. It was probably only due to the expense involved in terminating his contract that he lasted this long. But Juan Laporta has finally pulled the trigger, and the man lined up to replace him could be another former Barcelona player.
And before you move on to the man touted to take over, I want to reel off some stats about your boy Koeman for you. He managed 65 games, 39 wins, 15 losses, but this season averaged 1.38 points a game with a 38% win percentage. So no, the numbers don't make for great reading, do they?
Not for Barcelona in La Liga. You know, the club demands to be dominant and up there competing for the title, and they're way off at the moment. I mean, it's not easy. It's not an easy situation to walk into when the club is on the brink of financial collapse.
For sure.
But I found some of his decisions in the players that he signed and the systems that he played pretty bog standard and very unimaginative. Like bringing in, you know, former players of his, and I mean, the Luke de Jong signing has to be up there as one of the most egregious in Barcelona's history. I mean, everybody laughed about Martin Braithwaite, but de Jong was just on another level of clunky and unreliable in terms of a target man, which Barcelona have never really played with. So I didn't understand the logic of that. I think they need somebody who will reinstate the kind of philosophies that the club has, because at the very least, even if they can't be successful in this financial turmoil that they're in, they can at least content themselves with saying that we're trying to play the kind of football that we enjoy and we value.
100%. And obviously the man that is being touted to take over, Xavi, icon of the club. And you talked about before how there's this trend recently of clubs hiring back icons. There's a club that we talk about a lot, which I won't mention, that does it, but Chelsea with Frank Lampard, for example, is another good one.
Pirlo at Juventus.
Now, you walked in today hot. You came in hot, and I don't blame you. New set, right? Times have changed at the Rondo, but you came in, you said, I got some things to say about Xavi. And you're not the only one, because when Yaz heard this, friend of the show Yaz, not bringing you up in relation to Ronaldo, so chill out. When he heard that Xavi was going to go back to Barcelona, he literally just said to me on the phone, he just went, that guy needs to shut up. and I'm not going to lie, didn't know what he was talking about. I was like, oh, has he said something? I don't pay attention to Xavi that much. Lay it on us. What makes you so riled up about Xavi's signing?
Well, Xavi has been a bit of a figure of fun for his maybe lack of self-awareness and the way he speaks. Just being, just chugging the Barcelona Kool-Aid so hard. Like he's gone to Qatar and earned many millions of dollars coaching Al Sadd. They play some pretty slick stuff. I mean, it is the Qatari Stars League or whatever, but they're pretty good. They've gone deep in the Asian Champions League, even if they did have a lot of money at their disposal to do so. But it's funny to see him interviewed and the kind of stuff he's spouting, almost being like if you fed Pep Guardiola's autobiography into a computer and asked them to like auto-generate the response. It doesn't even seem real. I wondered whether this was a satirical article that was made up. This is an interview with him from 2018 on SoFoot.com. He says, I am not a football genius. I'm just a student of Cruyff's school. And Cruyff summarized football in a sentence. Football should be played with the mind. I have had to use my brain to play football. I am not Mbappe. How does he play? He runs, pushes the ball, passes a player. I don't have Mbappe's legs, but I use my brain. I compensate like that. I came to Barca when I was 11, and from the first day, I was forced to understand everything I did. We cannot play football if we don't understand everything that happens on the pitch. It goes deeper than just the contact between the foot and the ball. Each reflection, each question opens new perspectives. Why are we asked to give space to each other or open up the game? On and on and on and on and on. And he talks about, creating space and all this. And he says, if we are in confined space, we can easily lose the ball. That's the accordion of Cruyff. Expanding, contracting.
I have to say that your white person news voice makes me very uncomfortable. It feels like I'm in Get Out.
When we don't have the ball, what should we do? Defend highly and shortly. Why? To fucking stifle the rival by closing spaces. Totally unexpected swearing there.
Yeah, that really broke character.
Yeah, the less space we give our opponents, the less chance they have to reach our goal. What's football? It's space-time. Just imagine I said all of that in Spanish.
So maybe, I was going to say maybe the translation's a bit off, but I feel like that's
maybe
pretty accurate.
Maybe if I started lisping the S's, it would sound better.
Oh my gosh. All right. Well, look, before we get in trouble with everyone in Spain.
It's probably in Catalan, actually.
Yeah, before Catalonia turns on us. So you think he's a bit of a space-time?
He's an acolyte of the Cruyff school.
Yeah.
He's a kind of a football extremist.
Yes.
And I am personally excited to see what happens if he's given the job at Camp Nou, because I don't know if it'll be successful, but I think it'll be funny.
You'll just be watching just for the post-match conferences, pre-match conferences. Yeah.
And also, I want to see what his vision of football looks like laid bare. I wonder how many La Masia graduates they can cram into one first team, just because he and Iniesta were great, and therefore, everybody from the youth academy has to be good.
Pedri and Gavi.
Yeah, I mean, they do have some young talent coming through, so it could work out well for them. I don't think they're going to have the money to pursue the big name signings that they always complemented that squad with in the past.
Yep.
I mean, even back in the Rijkaard days, yes, they brought through Iniesta and Xavi and gave them starring roles. They also signed Ronaldinho for an enormous amount of money. So it's always been supplemented by big name signings or good scouting and bringing in players quite young like Messi was. So.
And look, obviously the Qatari League, vastly different from La Liga. We've seen managers make that step, and I don't know if I think he's going to succeed, but he seems like the front runner for the gig. Who else do you think might have a shout in getting that Barcelona job, if any?
I don't think anyone else is really in the running, aside from promoting a B team coach like they did with Guardiola. It's funny because Barcelona, you talk about the institutional arrogance of United last week with trying to replicate Alex Ferguson when there is only one Sir Alex and you can't turn back the clock. Yeah. I mean, Barcelona are so kind of high on their own supply that they couldn't even countenance the thought.
Incontinence. They couldn't incontinence.
They couldn't countenance the thought of bringing someone like Conte in.
Yeah, wow, a lot of conts in there.
Yeah, that was...
tongue twister.
Yeah, a bit. But bringing in an Italian who's going to, yell at them and make them run or, spend 2 hours doing shadow play 11 versus nothing and on positional play, or bringing in a German, a Nagelsmann type who's going to make them do the beep test in training every day. I don't think, they would stoop to that level. So it's either going to be a former legend, a B team coach, or someone in the Spanish league who they think could learn the Barcelona way on the job. And there aren't that many available super coaches that you can bring in. The kind of mercenaries that Gary Neville looks down upon. There aren't that many out there because it's so difficult to make that leap to a super club. I think that's why we're seeing so many of these big clubs turn to former players who are unproven because maybe lightning could strike twice.
And so if you're on the Barcelona board and you are looking, Josh already has the lingo down, the manifesto, the language around the Barcelona Football
The
Club.
Catalan manifesto.
That's right. He's willing to get a lisp. He'll work with a coach to get that down right.
The King's speech.
That's right.
It's actually the reverse of
The reverse of the King's
King's
speech.
speech,
So
yeah.
it'd be the poor man's chat or something. So yeah, if you're looking for that, Josh could be your guy.